Hey, folks, Tito, Jeff Thitoff here with you. Thanks so much for tuning in. Follow me on Twitter at @ThatHappens. This is the Buckeye Blitz. Lots to talk about from the weekend. The Ohio State men, we'll start with them. They got a big win, 82-74 over number 8 Purdue on Sunday. Buckeyes moved to 18-11 overall, 10-8 in the Big Ten. They close out their Big Ten regular season at Penn State on Wednesday, host Indiana on Saturday. Ohio State realistically should be a tournament team this year. When they beat Purdue, that, like I say, that's one of those signature wins for them. They've now beaten Purdue 3 straight times, by the way. But it's a quad one win. Ohio State's men's basketball team has been trying hard to get as many quad one wins as they can. They've got now one for sure. Purdue will be a quad one win no matter what. But that scale on what makes or doesn't make a quad one team, that changes, that slides based on how other teams do. So Ohio State has a quad one win as of now against Northwestern as well. So that'd be 2 quad one wins for Ohio State. I have a hard time saying quad one consistently. Nonetheless, big win for Ohio State, though. A lot of great performance out of John Mobley, out of Bruce Thornton again. Thornton's now 30 points away from becoming the all-time league scorer for Ohio State men's basketball. He should get that on senior day against Indiana coming up next weekend. But the Ohio State team played the way we thought they could play all year long. It was never really in doubt against Purdue. Ohio State dominated that game, or I should say dominated. Dominated sounds like it'd be a much bigger blowout as opposed to what it was, 8-point win. But Ohio State certainly seemed in control the entire game. And they were relatively healthy compared to other games. Mobley's out there shooting with a taped up wrist or taped up fingers, but still had a good game. Ohio State had balanced scoring throughout. They out-rebounded Purdue, which is all great stuff. So this Buckeye team, and I've said this before, and I'm curious what you think as the listeners here, the viewers here. Now that Ohio State's at 18-11, big win against Purdue, again, 10-8. The worst case scenario, they're 10-10 in the Big Ten going into the Big Ten tournament, but I think they'll win one, if not both of these games. So let's say they're 11-9. They're 19-12 going into the Big Ten tournament. Maybe win one, lose one, end up going then 20-12 into the when it gets to the tournament time, the selection time. What's more likely at that point? That Ohio State misses the tournament or Ohio State makes a run to the Sweet 16? And I look at Ohio State's basketball team and the makeup of the roster, and I've said this all along. I'm not saying they will. They could very easily miss the tournament still or get bounced in the first round. That could still happen. But if you look at teams that have been successful in March in the NCAA tournament, Ohio State's got some of that DNA, if you will. You've got a senior point guard, leader of the team, dynamic scorer, scored all 3 levels. And I said this on the radio earlier. It kind of reminds me of like what Khalid Al-Amin brought to Connecticut's national championship team. What Mateen Cleaves brought to Michigan State's national championship team. I'm saying Ohio State's a national championship contender. They're not. They've got a guy like Mobley who can take over a game. Yes. He can go 1 for 7 on threes. Yes. He can go 8 for 10 on threes also. Can change the game with Judy Mobley. Thornton can take over a game as well. Thornton's a guy you want in the clutch. They've got athletic bigs. Tilly thinks stay out foul trouble is really good. Devin Royal, Bynum. Tayson Chapman's been really good for Ohio State as well. So I'm not saying that I'm not saying they're a national championship contender. I'm not saying that at all. Because, hell, they could still miss the tournament. But they've got the kind of team, though, that could win a couple of games in the NCAA tournament. At Penn State Wednesday, host Indiana on Saturday on senior day. That's when Thornton's going to set the record for most points scored in a career for an Ohio State basketball player. Then they've got the Big Ten tournament. So when you're looking at this Ohio State team, they're right now in 9th place in the Big Ten. They're 2 games up on the 10th place team, so they're going to finish 9th or better. They could finish 8th. They've got they're tied right now with Iowa, tied for 9th. But if Ohio State can win their last 2 games, or even go 1-1 at Penn State, host Indiana, Iowa's last 2 games of the Big Ten season, they've got to play host to Michigan, and Michigan's going to win that game. And they've got to play at Nebraska. Nebraska currently second, I think, in the Big Ten, actually. Now I'm thinking about it. I think they're second in the Big Ten, technically. But those are two tough games for Iowa. So if Ohio State can go 1-1 or 2-0, and Iowa goes 0-2, very likely, then you've got all of a sudden Ohio State in there as the number 8 team in the Big Ten, which gets them a double bye. The single bye. Is it single bye? They get the double bye. If they're 9th, they get the single bye where the other crappy teams play beforehand. Every Big Ten team makes the tournament this year, by the way, in the Big Ten tournament. Every Big Ten team is in. So there's single buys, double buys, and triple buys. Top 4 seeds get triple buys. 5 through 8 get double buys. And then I think 9 through, I don't know, it's 9 and 10, whatever, get single buys. Nonetheless, Ohio State's going to get at least a bye, but could get a double bye if they somehow get them going 2-0 and Iowa goes 1-1 or 0-2. So next 2 games are very important. At Penn State, not an easy game for Ohio State. Ohio State always has, look, every Big Ten team on the road has struggles. It's tough to win on the road in the Big Ten. I don't care what the team is. Penn State, though, against Ohio State, that's on Wednesday. Then Ohio State hosts Indiana on Saturday. Indiana, another team on the bubble for them. Indiana looking for a win there. They'll need it. But if Ohio State can win at least one of those 2 and then maybe go 1-1 in the Big Ten tournament, they're locks for the tournament, in my opinion, if they're not already based on the win over Purdue. Not a lot of quad 1 wins, but they do rank well in some of the other, the other ratings that they use and they evaluate. But Ohio State, are they one of the best 68 teams in the country? Yes. They deserve to be in the field. OSU women, 12th ranked in the country. They rolled number 15 Michigan State over the weekend on the road, 87-68. Ohio State was up 23 points at the half. Buckeyes are now 24-6 overall, 13-5 in the Big Ten, number 5 seed in the Big Ten tournament. So they will either take on Indiana or Nebraska in their first round game on Thursday. The first game they will play, I should say, is on Thursday. So in the weekly reveal they had, like where they show like who the top 16 seeds would be right now, Michigan State was 13th. Ohio State beat. Ohio State was 16th. Got to believe it gives them some leeway. And then we'll see what they do in the NCAA basketball, in the women's, Big Ten tournament, which is going to be a great time of year. I love watching the women's and the men's Big Ten tournaments. I love the fact that there's no off days. That it's just like if you win, you play the next day. You don't get a day off. So kudos to Kevin McGuff and his squad for what they've been able to do. They obviously losing Cody McMahon, who was their best player last year, losing her, and still able to have this kind of a season. Very impressive. The Ohio State football players, they really stood out at the combine. It was, Sonny Styles was amazing. Lorenzo Styles was amazing. Arvell Reese. Sonny Styles, by the way, his vertical jump was better than Calvin Johnson's was at the combine. Think about that. He's 6'5", 239. 6'5", 239 is what Calvin Johnson was. And Sonny Styles beat his vertical jump. Sonny Styles was amazing at the combine. Fantastic. Lorenzo Styles also one of the fastest times. I think the fastest time maybe in recent memory of a safety in the 40. Arvo Reese also did well. So I'm hearing people talk about, well, if Ohio State's got all these great athletes, when you've got guys like talking about Reese, talking about Styles, talking about the other Styles, talking about Caleb Downs, Carnell Tate, all these guys that are great, how did they not make it to the championship game or win a championship this year? And that's fair. That's fair to say that. I will tell you this. Ohio State's defense this year was fantastic. So I'm not going to blame. I'm not just because Ohio State's they have great athletes on defense. Yes, I knew that before the combine. Yes, the defense was historically great this year. Absolutely. They gave up 13 to Indiana. Should have won. Against Miami, they gave up pick 6. Could have beat them. So, although you want to say, oh, look, all this talent Ohio State's got, how can they not be the championship winner? These guys also won a title back the year before. A lot of these guys that were contributing that you're seeing now, they're talking about the combine. They did well in the 2024 season when Ohio State won the national title. So, anyway, excited to see what these guys do in the pros. And they, like I said, they shelled out at the combine. You'll see more about them when they get to the pro day at Ohio State, which is always a huge event with lots of NFL executives that come in for that and watch that. And typically times are better there. Carnell Tate's 40-yard dash time is being disputed across the board. The NFL had their official time of 4.53 on the 40, but there's a lot of people that was like 27th out of 34 people that did it, 24 out of 34, 27 out of 34, but of the wide receivers. But anyway, other people that did their individual times for teams had him in the 4.45 area. So not sure what the right number is or not, but we'll learn more about that if he runs it on Pro Day at Ohio State. Okay, folks, that's it for me, Jeff Thitoff. Follow me on Twitter @ThitHappens. This has been the Buckeye Blitz on FanStream Sports, and I look forward to talking to you again soon.